Let me tell you a story. It's about how a simple shift change in an airport hangar completely spiraled out of control and turned into an $11,000 mistake. It's a classic case of one airplane, two maintenance crews, and how just a handful of words getting lost in translation led to a massive and totally avoidable cost.
Okay, let's start with a number. $3,200. You might be wondering what that is. Well, that's roughly how much an airline loses for every single hour a Boeing 737 is stuck on the ground for maintenance when it's supposed to be up in the air, making money. So this isn't just about a little delay in a repair schedule. We're talking about a serious financial hit.
So, how did we get to that $11,000 figure? Well, it all started with a 3.5-hour delay, and the trigger for all of it? A tiny 6-word message. One single crucial piece of information got completely lost between shifts, and it's a perfect example of how these small communication gaps can just explode into enormous problems.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story takes place in what's called an MRO facility. That stands for Aircraft Maintenance, Repair, and Overhaul. Basically, think of it as a giant 24/7 high-tech garage for massive airplanes. And in this world, every single minute is money, and every little detail is absolutely critical. Not just for the airline's bottom line, but for safety.
Now, what's really important to understand is that a shift handover in aviation, it's not just a friendly update. It's not a nice-to-have. It is a strictly regulated process. Getting this wrong doesn't just cause delays. It can have really serious safety and, yep, even legal consequences.
Let's step right onto the hangar floor. It is 1:30 in the morning. The night shift's avionics team is running a functional test on a Boeing 737's flight control system. This is not just some routine checkup. This is one of the most critical tests they'll do during the entire maintenance stop.
And then, bam! A red flag. They see this on the screen. The left aileron's response time comes in at 342 milliseconds. The absolute maximum allowed is 280. That is a 22% failure. The part is way out of spec, and that means this plane is grounded. It is not going anywhere until this is fixed.
So here's all the critical information that the night shift lead, a guy named Kareem, now has in his head. He knows it's the left aileron, not the right one, which passed just fine. But here's the kicker, the most important part. He sees a trend in the data. This part has been getting slower over time. This isn't some sudden break, it's a progressive failure. It's wearing out. That's a huge clue.
So right now, this single piece of data is at a crossroads. Its journey to the next shift can go down one of two paths, and those paths lead to completely different outcomes. So let's follow the first path, the one where everything went wrong. So yeah, this first path is the traditional one. The one where all those critical details just get lost in the shuffle of a busy, exhausting 12-hour shift. This is the breakdown. This is it. This is the entire handover. 6 words scribbled in a physical logbook at the end of a long night. All that crucial context, the exact measurement, the trend data, the fact that the other aileron was fine, all of it has now been compressed into this one super vague sentence. It's all gone.
And here comes the domino effect. The day shift lead, Sophie, comes in and spends the next hour on a total wild goose chase. She reads the note, tries to call Kareem. He's at home, asleep, of course. She can't find the physical data sheet. It's probably buried under a mountain of paperwork. So with totally incomplete info, she can't just guess. She has no choice but to start all over again.
And starting over? It's a painfully long process. It takes nearly 3 hours to go find the equipment, set it all up, warm up the hydraulic system, and run the entire test again, all just to confirm a result that they already had. It is pure 100% wasted time and effort. But now, let's hit the rewind button and see how this entire morning could have been completely different. What happens when technology makes sure that no information gets lost?
Okay, so instead of that 6-word scribble, imagine Sophie walks in at 6:30 a.m. and sees this on her screen. A complete automated summary. It's got the exact failure measurement, the trend analysis confirming it's getting worse, and even a recommended action with the correct part number. And look at that, links to all the data. Everything she needs is right there.
Just look at the difference this makes. The problem is completely understood in 30 seconds, not an hour. The right part is ordered 15 minutes later. The team can take immediate and informed action instead of wasting hours just trying to figure out what the problem even is.
So let's put these two scenarios head to head. Let's do the final tale of the tape and see the real, quantifiable impact of that one communication failure versus a perfect, seamless flow of information. The difference is, it's just staggering. The time it takes to understand the problem plummets from 50 minutes to 30 seconds. A nearly 3-hour retest is completely gone. The aircraft gets back in the air 3.5 hours earlier, and the cost of that delay, it drops from over $11,000 down to zero.
Yep, $11,610. That's the real direct price tag on one poor handover, on one single airplane, on one single day.
But this goes way beyond just the money saved on one delay. By capturing that trend data, the maintenance team can shift from being reactive, just fixing what's broken, to being proactive. They can actually start to predict future failures across their entire fleet, which means they could stop a problem before it ever even grounds a plane. That's a game changer.
And it is so crucial to understand that this isn't just some weird one-off story about one team or one facility. This is a huge systemic challenge that you see across all kinds of complex, high-stakes industries everywhere.
In fact, don't just take my word for it. A study from the UK Civil Aviation Authority found that incomplete handovers are a factor in 12% of all maintenance errors. Think about that for a second. That means 1 out of every 8 maintenance mistakes has this exact kind of communication gap at its root. It just shows you how widespread and, frankly, how dangerous this problem really is.
And it's not just about being inefficient or even just about safety, it's about compliance. Regulators like the FAA demand complete, traceable documentation. So that 6-word log entry, it isn't just bad communication, it's a potential violation that could put an entire facility's operating license at risk.
So all of this leaves us with one final thought. Whether you work in aviation, or manufacturing, or energy, or healthcare, it's worth asking yourself what critical information gets lost in your shift change, and maybe more importantly, what is it really costing you?